Time travel, you know? It's the stuff of sci-fi movies and epic novels, right? Well, today, we're going to peel back all that fiction and take a hard look at the actual science behind it all. And we're going to kick things off with a story that honestly feels like it's straight out of Hollywood.
Take a look at this number, $350 million. I mean, that is just a staggering amount of money.
But here's the truly mind-blowing part. That massive fortune, it was made in just 2 weeks, and it all started with an investment of only $800. A return like that isn't just lucky, it's basically impossible.
And yeah, back in March of 2003, the FBI thought so too. It just screamed insider trading. So they arrested a man named Andrew Carlson. But his explanation for how he did it? Well, it was something else entirely.
He told them, flat out, that he was a time traveler from the year 2256. He said he knew exactly which stocks were going to pop because for him, it was all just history. Now here's where it gets really weird. When investigators tried to find him, birth certificate, social security number, they couldn't find a single record of an Andrew Carlson existing anywhere before December 2002.
And then, just like that, poof, he was gone. Some anonymous person posted his $1 million bail, and right before his court hearing, he vanished. Never seen again. So you have to ask, could he have been telling the truth? Is time travel actually real? Well, to even begin to answer that, we have to understand what time is.
For centuries, we were all on Team Newton. His view is that time is like an arrow, flying straight at the exact same speed for every single person in the universe. But then Albert Einstein came along and just flipped the whole game on its head. He said, no, time is more like a river. Its flow can change. It can speed up, it can slow down. And that one idea right there is the key to everything.
This all hinges on a concept called time dilation. It's Einstein's big idea that your experience of time isn't fixed, it's relative. And it can actually be stretched or compressed by two of the most fundamental forces we know of, speed and gravity.
And what that gives us are two scientifically plausible ways to get a one-way ticket to the future. You either need to go unbelievably fast, or you need to cozy up to something unbelievably heavy. Let's break that down.
So, first up is speed. The fancy term is kinematic time dilation, but the rule is actually pretty simple, even if it messes with your head. The faster you fly through space, the slower you move through time, at least compared to someone who's just standing still.
And look, this isn't just some theory on a chalkboard. It's been proven. Back in 1971, scientists in the Hayfele-Keating experiment put these super accurate atomic clocks on jetliners and just flew them around the world. And guess what? When they landed, the clocks on the planes were just a few nanoseconds behind the identical clocks they left on the ground. The pilots literally aged a tiny bit slower. They had traveled microseconds into the future.
Okay, the second method is all about gravity. Einstein imagines space and time as this single connected fabric, and a massive object like a planet or a star is like dropping a bowling ball into that fabric. It creates a deep curve, a dip. The heavier the object, the deeper the dip, and the slower time itself actually flows for anything near it.
In fact, you use this principle every single day. The GPS satellites orbiting way up above us are further away from Earth's gravity, so their clocks actually tick just a little bit faster than ours do down here. For your GPS to work at all, engineers have to constantly correct for that time difference. It's pretty wild. Time travel is literally built into your phone's map app.
So, who holds the world record for time travel? It's a Russian cosmonaut named Gennady Padalka. By spending a total of 879 days in orbit, zipping around our planet at over 17,000 miles per hour, he traveled 0.02 seconds into his own future. He is, literally, younger than he would have been if he had just stayed home.
Okay, so we've pretty much established that traveling to the future isn't science fiction anymore. We're already doing it, even if it's just by tiny fractions of a second. But that brings us to the big one, the one everyone really wants to know about. What about going back to the past?
This is where we step out of proven science and into the really wild world of theory. Some physicists, like the brilliant Kip Thorne, have suggested that maybe, just maybe, a spinning black hole could twist space-time so violently that it could actually loop back on itself, creating what we'd call a wormhole. In physics, they call it a closed time-like curve, which is a fancy way of saying a pathway to the past.
But, and you knew there was going to be a but, right? It is a massive one. To actually keep that cosmic tunnel open long enough for someone to get through, we would need something called negative energy. It's a hypothetical substance that would have to have anti-gravity properties. And we have never, ever seen it, and we have absolutely no idea how to make it.
But let's pretend for a second we could solve that.
Even if we could build the machine, we immediately slam into a wall that's even bigger than the physics. I'm talking about the complete breakdown of logic itself. I'm talking about paradoxes.
You've probably heard of the most famous one, the grandfather paradox. It goes like this. You build a time machine. You go back in time and you stop your grandparents from ever meeting each other. Well, if you do that, then you're never born. But if you were never born, then who went back in time to stop them in the first place? You see, it's a perfect, circular, inescapable contradiction.
And then there's another mind-bender, the predestination paradox. This idea says you can't change the past because, well, you were already a part of it. Let's say you go back in time to save a friend from a terrible accident. This paradox suggests that your very attempt to intervene, your presence there, might be the very thing that causes the accident. History is a closed loop, and you're already in it.
Which, of course, brings us all the way back around to our mystery investor, Andrew Carlson. Given everything we know now, from time dilation to paradoxes, could his story possibly be true?
Well, the truth is, not exactly. The whole incredible story came from just one place, an article in a paper called The Weekly World News.
And if you're not familiar with it, the Weekly World News was a famous satirical tabloid. Think Bat Boy, Elvis sightings, that kind of thing. It was pure entertainment, totally made up. The story was just so good that a few other news outlets actually picked it up and reported it as fact. But yeah, it was a hoax from the very beginning.
So even though the story of Andrew Carlson isn't real, it does make you think, doesn't it? Traveling to the future is a scientific reality. But going to the past seems totally locked down by paradoxes and physics we can't even imagine. And that leaves us with one last lingering question, one that the great Stephen Hawking famously asked. If travel to the past is ever possible, where are all the tourists from the future?